So this first project is making coffee filter flowers, and you can see the example here. This is what the class I worked with did. We ended up making 2 petal flower, 2 coffee filters, a plain one and a tie-dyed one, which I'll show you how to do. And then we put it on a big piece of colored butcher paper and painted stems on it. So it was the whole class and it was a whole garden. But this is just an individual one of a student. They wanted to take it home. And then you can also take the finished coffee filter flower, wrap it on a pipe cleaner, and then take floral tape to finish it off. And you could do a whole bouquet of these. It might be a fun Mother's Day project. So what you're gonna need is your plain piece of construction paper. I'm gonna set those aside. Some paper towels. Set that aside as well. Coffee filters. And markers. Doesn't have to say washable because it just has to be like a water-based marker, and it will work well. And then also a spray bottle of water, and that will come in at the end. That does all the magic. And when the kids saw it, they said ooh and ah when they saw what it did. So you have your construction paper set aside and your paper towel set aside. We don't need those right away, but you will need the coffee filter. And this is a good way to teach the kids about radial, symmetry, and pattern and line. And so you're going to have the kids fold the coffee filter directly in half. You can also work in lessons about fractions. So you tell them 1/2. And then maybe 1/4, especially if they want to start with a circle in the middle. It's a lot easier to draw a circle on a quarter and unfold it than it is a half circle for some of the little kids. And I already started one here, so I'm gonna go off of that one. So you can see I fold it in half. I did a little quarter semicircle, unfolded it, colored it in. I did some lines here, some dots here, some triangles here. And then let's keep going with this. I think I'm going to use another warm color. Use some orange. And I like to have them close together, the shapes, but they don't have to be touching at all because you kind of want them to bleed into each other. And they don't have to be perfect. As you see, I got a little messy on the pink one there. And you can also use this as a way to talk about warm and cool colors with the kids as well. Maybe primary, secondary, tertiary colors. I'm trying to make my kids experts with color. And so far the kids are all about primary, secondary, tertiary. They remember those good. Every time I ask, they remember. Just repetitive lessons with each art lesson, and by the end of the year, they are experts. So I may speed this part up in the video so you don't have to sit here and listen to me babble on while I'm coloring. One thing before I speed myself up is you want to make sure on the back side, after you color the front side, see how it only really bled through a little bit. You want to have the kids go over that again with the color. Make sure it's on both sides. Okay, I think that's all I'm gonna color for now. There's plenty of white space in between, but it's got a lot of color for it in there. I think it'll work well. And so this is a good way, like I said before, that we can teach kids not about just symmetry, but radial symmetry in design. So radial symmetry being from the center going out, and that it matches, and you see my shapes aren't perfect here exactly, but it is symmetrical because once you open it up, you see it's the same on both sides. And then we take our blank piece of construction paper, and this is kind of a big filter I've got here. I think the smaller filter that I started with, yeah, that would fit on. This is like a regular size coffee filter that you can buy in the store. I think this is a commercial size. So regular size from the grocery store that fits in your home coffee maker would fit on a piece of construction paper just fine. So you put it on your construction paper. If you want, if it's like mine, it's bleeding over, you can always put the piece of paper towel underneath it just to protect the table, but these are washable, so it's totally easy to wipe off. And here's when the magic comes in, and here's when all the kids get really excited to see this. And because it's water, you can just have them spray it, but you just tell them to spray and to keep spraying and wet their whole filter until it looks the way they want it, you know, how their colors start to bleed the way they want it to, but they do have to get it wet. And you want to keep just spritzing it. You can see it's starting to bleed. And the wetter they get it, the more it gets runny. The more it runs together like a tie-dye t-shirt. You can see it's running right there. And this filter's been folded for quite some time. It might have been better if it was fresh. But as you can see, it starts to bleed together, so being perfect with your shapes is not necessary at all. But it is a good lesson for them to practice creating shapes and patterns with line. And then I have them sandwich it and flip it over. And if they want to press down on their paper, they can a little bit. And then you take your paper and peel it off. And then you can save your paper for later, for a card maybe, or another art project. So then you let this just sit aside and dry, and it doesn't take that long to dry, maybe half hour to an hour, depending on how much water they put on there. So you got a really pretty tie-dye type design that you can make into a flower. And I have them take a plain piece, and they can practice as much as they want on the plain piece because they get a little scared when it comes to cutting because they don't want to ruin their beautiful flower. So you can have them practice on as the plain ones as much as possible, but we do a plain one and the tie-dyed one in order to doubled up like this to make our flower. We don't cut them at the same time, but we just shift them so then it looks like a double layer of petals. So we have them fold their coffee filter directly in half. Then we have them fold it into quarters, and this is important that the kids be careful and precise and fold it evenly, because it's just like a snowflake or a paper doll when you're cutting it out. And it might be easier for the kids, instead of doing in and out, kind of like a petal, we'll just do from here and do an arc like a petal. So it's not a complicated shape. And you want to have the fold on the bottom and the open ends on the top. And I cut to that other corner. And when you open it up, if I did this right, you have your flower petals. So again, have them practice with the plain ones as much as they need to. I think a couple of the kids cut it on the wrong side the very first time. It's okay. These are so cheap. Pennies. Pennies. So again, do the same thing with the colored one when it's dry. Have them fold it once. Twice. 3. 4 times. So you get this skinny little triangle. And the folded sides at the bottom, open tops is at the top. Draw your arc for your petal, have them cut it, and unfold it. And then you have your petal shape. And then you stack them, and then even though they might be cut the same, you just twist them a little bit and you can see both the petals. I mean, you could even layer even more on if you wanted and just keep going. But anyway, that's the tie-dyed coffee filter flower lesson, and we can show the kids radial symmetry, pattern, line, and we also can talk about warm and cool colors. We can talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and if you have any questions or comments, please comment below and I will try and answer them as soon as I can. Thanks, bye.